ask you guys. And we could do it in backwards order to how you went before. So Alicia, then Beatrice, then Abby. So she wanted to ask, welfare drop-ins have never been well attended. What would you do to increase participation or create a platform where students who are struggling would feel comfortable enough to speak to you on a one-to-one basis, especially if they're in your year or older than you?
Okay, well, I think the anonymous welfare messaging system that was established at the end of last year is a really, really good way to get around that, because it's anonymous, people do feel a bit more comfortable approaching you. But also I think maybe people feel more comfortable when they actually know you, when they sort of like know your face and have maybe spoken to you a bit before. So I think an important thing would be to get to know people better. So I think something I was talking about with someone else, like Moe, and we're thinking like maybe if the JCSU sort of did like dinners with staircases, like 2 members would like try and like go around to like freshers staircases and have dinner with people. And that sort of like make us a bit more accessible in that sense, because obviously it's very intimidating to open up to somebody who you've never really spoken to before and you don't even say hi to in the corridor. So yeah.
Yeah, I have been thinking about this, and I feel like it's kind of a quality over quantity situation. So even though the numbers aren't as large as maybe we would want, I think it's more important to maybe not promote it too much, because then you kind of lose the feeling of like a private bit of help that you might need, and I suppose if too many people turn up, then it doesn't feel as intimate as it should do. But if I did want to increase the numbers more, then I think it's just all about the kind of external way you present yourself. As of just being quite sociable around college, making sure that everyone knows that it is such an accessible system, and really just it's easy to pop in if you want to.
So I think introductory events at the beginning of term for freshers would be especially useful. So making sure that everyone has contact with the welfare officers, as opposed to just seeing them at the front of the hall, like when they're doing a speech. But I think also acknowledging that people seek help in lots of different ways. So I think the college family system, like we don't utilise that enough. So I think the welfare officers could be really useful in maybe providing some kind of informal guidance, or maybe even formal training, to ensure that there is this support network. And then of course just building on and advertising the anonymous messaging service. So yeah, that's how I propose to kind of increase numbers.
Great, thanks. And does anyone have a question for the female welfare officers in the room? Anyone? Do any of you guys have a question that we could ask? Any other questions? Anyone else who's been on the welfare team?
Okay, I'll use up my other one. So one of the things that Holly and I noticed, and Becca and Joe said just the year before they left as well, is that every year fewer and fewer freshers come to welfare events. And we don't really know why that is or what to do about it. So what practical things do you think you could do to get the fresher engagement up?
So I think perhaps some welfare events at the beginning of term, especially for freshers, would be useful, because I think welfare cake can seem quite exclusive in some ways. Like I've spoken to some people who think that you know, welfare cake is only for people who are actually struggling, and also it can be a bit intimidating when you don't really know anyone to go into a room and have the whole JCSU and a load of second and third years there. So perhaps focusing on freshers individually, but then also having some events to kind of integrate the years more, and again like using perhaps the college family system in this to promote more kind of inter-year integration, especially between freshers and second years.
Yeah, so as a fresher myself, I can see where you're coming from, because at first when I came in Michaelmas, I kind of felt that welfare cake was maybe a little bit maybe to a step. You wouldn't feel as though you needed to go, I suppose. It would maybe be a step too far, and you're not sure when you quite need that kind of help. So I feel like as long as it's just promoted as a really chilled out situation, and that could be done by maybe more kind of input at the beginning. So I was speaking about the mindfulness and mental health consent workshops. So I think the consent workshop was really helpful in kind of opening everyone up to the welfare system. But I think if there were even more workshops that freshers were involved in at the beginning, this would increase the participation.
Yeah, I do agree. Like, it's pretty intimidating to go to welfare cake when you don't know anyone. I mean, I always thought it was for the free food anyway, but I was too scared to go when I was a fresher because obviously I didn't know all these second years. I think just like having a variation of welfare events, so like it's not like welfare cake is the only time you can really meet the welfare team. That would be good. So like, you know, just like more casual events, like say just I don't know, like even blues and chill, although it's not really like, obviously it's not something where you talk to people, but just like maybe like before if like the welfare team went around and like chatted to people in the audience and stuff like that, that would be pretty good and sort of like make it seem a bit more open and friendly.
Okay, cool. Thanks.